Doo. That's me and Kiddo back there. It's my pooch, my old dog. Yeah, it's in a different. My sister had this at her house. Now I've got it at mine. So I have to find another home for Kiddo, or I'll put it in the kitchen maybe. Kitchen won't change much. It's kind of cool, and he's in my old kitchen. Of about 25 years ago. He's been dead some time. All right, listen. This is for one of the uh, people in our group here. Just want to know more about polarized energy, and as it relates to God, and also this covenant with us, the rainbow bridge and stuff like this. It's all this idea of a polarized energy is well. First, it's an antagonistic energy source where there's something at one end of one thing and we've got an opposite on the other. So this is polarized, and the two of them exist at the same time. And for a good number of my years, I see this as a teeter-totter. That this is the way the brain works when it's uneven. That it's constantly doing this. It's not sitting even. It's always like ring, 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 ring. It's always with that battle at itself. And so that reminds me of what Sarai is, and until she gets Sarah, she's first an antagonistic type of person, whereas when she gets the breath of God, that H in her word, in her name, does she become a princess. And the same with Abram. Abram starts out on, from the child of Satan's idea that he comes from the Ur of Chaldees. That's where his family's from. Get up, and get away from your father's house, And he gets up, he starts bashing all of the gods and stuff like that, and he's moving on. Well, it's the same idea. And so when he gets Abraham, when they all get Isaac, that's the son, the firstborn, and it's born of a virgin woman, or at least a barren woman, someone that, didn't have a child beforehand. And that's what's important in these stories. But anyways, this idea of a polarized energy for us, in the Bible's case, what it is that it's the way the color, light. God is about light. And for some reason, we're only allowed a certain amount of light. And after a certain place or a certain point, it's all you get, And this shows you here on this. This is science part of light. And this radio waves goes this way and goes on that way. It's going from the lower end, which is from the red end, all the way to this what is that, like the indigo, how it starts, and all of a sudden it disappears. We've got those 7 colors, and they all start from red down below, and then as you keep going. But this is the changes of frequencies. And how does that relate in other terms is that it would be like way down there is the hot side. This is what is physical. This is the lower end of the spectrum. So this would be what is physical. And in my art classes, this is the lower side. The lower side of the first. It's the first phase of painting, and everything in that has to have a little blackness, a little dark. So it's just the lower side of everything. The red. That's where physical things manifest. Physical stuff. And then, as we move on up the chakra, we would find that, the yellow part here is representing the middle area. This here is the Son of God. This is the soul, the solar plexus. It's also the seed of Satan. This is as far as Baphomet's little kundalini goes up. This is as far as it goes. It's right here. All right. And so this is that place that when we go into meditation, we shut that down, and our energies go up here to this place here where there's nothing going on. This is a quiet place, and it's a spiritual place. This is the opposite side of physical stuff. So something that's more ethereal and invisible. And this is where mother is. All right. So this is an example of the polarized energy of the physical side of human beings to the spiritual side of us. And so this this is basically how it goes. Down here is alpha and beta. This is, you know, the lower level. And then when you get around here, you know, you put this guy to sleep, you put the devil to sleep. And then next thing you know, this is father going to sleep. The child is let loose from inside. The seed in us, our soul is let out of prison. And it starts to take off, and it meets up with Jesus somewhere around in here. But these are all the changes, the frequencies of our brain as well. So they all follow along the same line, from going from the lower and up to the higher, where delta is. Delta is ready when you are. You've heard this joke before, but that's how it works here. All right. It's the idea of, you know, wind blowing. You know, if things are sitting quietly, there's nothing going on. It's still and stagnant. And water and stuff like that, when that happens, everything begins to rot or dissipate or disappear, you know. But this act of heating something up, like with grasshoppers, you know, they sit around and they heat up during the day with a little bit of sun. When the sun starts getting them to get the energy going, and they're on their way, boom, you know, like little grasshoppers. We've been symbolized as grasshoppers. We've got to wait to get our fill of God before we can take off, you know, to take off on our own. And so just like our scriptures, we have to get our works in first before we are given back to ourselves, before we can take off on our own, you know. And so this is the route, you know, our Kundalini system. Jesus is the way. This is the business. This is how it works. This is that idea of when you get all the way up to here, when you get up to the purple side of this, it's like ringing a bell. And when you ring that bell, when you come back down, you never really come back down here to hell anymore. Even though you're in it, but your vibrations and levels, you've made it. You've made it past a certain point. And you don't have to do this ever again. This is making straight the way of the Lord. This is what it is. And the lower mind is being raised to just a higher level, just a little bit, as this rock, this Jerusalem, which is above, when she comes back in and then restores the mind as one. It doesn't bring in any new bodies or new people or new buildings or a new earth even. It brings in the new mind, the transformed mind. And this is how it works, you know. It's got to take frequency. Go and get your brain washed. Jump in. That's beta frequency, alpha, beta frequency. Yeah, beta. Beta, alpha. Beta first. Beta's earth. Alpha is where you start to get the rest. And that's the water. And then you go to theta. That's where we meet Jesus. Get him. That's like over. That's at least going halfway. And we meet Jesus. And then Jesus takes us over to Mom. And together they set fire to the earth. Ooh, scorched earth policy. But it ain't going to happen unless you let that happen. That's it, you know. All right. Hope you got something out of this. I love you. I'll be back. All right. See how we can turn this off. Lots and lots of information. See you later.